The world was on the brink of destruction. Countries had formed alliances and tensions were at an all-time high. It was only a matter of time before the Third World War began. It started with a small skirmish between two countries on opposite sides of the globe. But before long the conflict escalated and other nations were drawn in. Soon the entire world was engaged in a brutal and devastating war. The war was fought on land, sea, and air with devastating new weapons that had never been seen before. Cities were bombed and burned and millions of innocent people were killed. The fighting was brutal and relentless with no end in sight. The soldiers on the front lines were exhausted and traumatized by the horrors they had witnessed. They fought on driven by duty and the hope of a better future. Meanwhile, the leaders of the world's nations were locked in a desperate struggle to gain the upper hand. They sent wave after wave of troops into battle hoping to turn the tide of the war in their favor, but no one was winning. The war dragged on with no clear victor in sight. It seemed as if the entire world was trapped in an endless cycle of death and destruction. As the war raged on, the people of the world began to lose hope. They watched as their homes were destroyed and their loved ones were killed. They were trapped in a never-ending nightmare with no escape in sight. But even as the world was consumed by war, there were still those who refused to give up. They continued to fight for peace and for a better future for all. They knew that the war would not be won by military might alone, but by the strength and determination of the human spirit. In the end, the war came to an end, but not without a heavy cost. Millions of lives were lost and entire cities were left in ruins. But the world had survived and the people were determined to rebuild and create a better future for all. The war left deep scars, both physical and emotional, on the world's population, and the memory of the war will be passed down to future generations as a reminder of the devastation that human actions can cause. World War III will be remembered as the war that almost destroyed the world.